How goes it, man? How you doing?
My little goblin.
So, what was he for Halloween?
We went like literally day of like 2 blocks down to the spirit store and got him like a little dog costume because he just loves dogs. And
Okay.
Dana was like, we didn't want to do any trick or treat or anything, but I think at the last minute she's like, fuck, we need to have a picture,
Yeah,
just
yeah, for
a
sure.
picture. And I was like, okay, fuck, let's
Yeah,
go down and get the costume, put him in it for 10 minutes, and that's
yeah. Because if you have the picture, you can at least make up the story later. He'll never remember that part, but he'll
right.
definitely remember that picture. Like, oh, okay. So,
And, we took him over to my parents and he got to play around inside and we basically answered the door for them for trick-or-treaters that came around.
oh, right on, right on. That's good.
So did you survive your color guard weekends? Was it multiple weekends?
It
I
was a,
know the
it was,
weekend before was supposed to be crazy.
yeah, it was back to back, and then we had a break this weekend, and then on the ninth we're back at it. Yeah, man, it was like I said, it's just it's like the waking up at 3, got to be on the bus by 5. We don't get back until in the evening of the later
Oh
that
my
day.
God.
So it's a lot. It's a lot of hurry up and stop. Since it's the whole band, even though the color guard goes on when the band does a marching part, there's still some phonics and all the rest of the band stuff kind of goes throughout the day. There's different competitions and stuff, and so it gets drawn out. So regardless, if somebody has to perform at 9 or 7 in the morning, everybody got to be there. The whole busload of kids and everybody got to be there and
Uh,
ready. And it's a lot of hurry up and waiting. And
oh God, hurry up and wait.
yeah, man, it's a trip. It's a trip. Okay. I'm
This
gonna try.
fucking show.
So we are on what, episode 7, right?
Is episode 7 the
And,
announcement?
and this is at the end of an arc. So it's like
Yes.
3 and then 3, and this is the aftermath of that arc that we're dealing with here.
Yeah.
So I would say, even though everything was touched on fairly in the first few episodes, it kind of gave us an idea of the overall chess pieces that we're dealing with, which were
Mm-hmm.
laid out pretty nicely.
Mm-hmm.
We just learned basic moves only, which all we kind of needed, and what side of the board they were on. That's what we start off with for the first few episodes. Slowly but surely, we learned our pieces. And on one side of the board, with the rebels, we learned more details as far as the movements and different techniques to use with the pieces and with the way they moved, almost getting the best out of those pieces. And that's what we had for the most part with 4, 5, and 6. And
Yes.
so, even though 7 is the aftermath of the heist, that was a beautiful mess. We are now on the other side of the board, and we're seeing how those other pieces are being stacked. So
Yes.
we're
We,
getting a
we get to
revisit.
we get to see the fallout because like I like you was sort of like scrubbing and reviewing the episode because it's
Yeah,
like been a week at least.
yeah,
And like I'm looking at like scene note, taking notes per
hmm,
scene, like da 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 da. Dude, it's like the end of the episode before we even get back to Andor. Like this, it's the
yeah.
second half, right?
Right, right.
So it's all the other actors, the other chess pieces being like, "Oh, it happened,"
Mm-hmm.
and either it's fascinating. Like the very first scene is Mon Mothma and Luthen,
Mm-hmm.
and she's just like, "What the fuck did you do?"
Right,
Right?
right.
And she's like, "This is gonna cause so many problems." But he's like, "You wanted a fucking rebellion, like." It's not gonna be all nice and clean. I know you want to get money to do things, but like, he's like, people are gonna suffer, and he's like, that's the fucking point. Like,
Right.
he's like, you can't tiptoe your way around this thing forever. Like, at some point,
It's very I love that conversation because it's so true to current situations with our situation kind of as a society, that we're kind of dealing with now. The whole concept of if you're gonna boil a lobster or crab, you turn up
yes.
the heat slowly.
Hmm.
That way the tolerance is like, it'll kind of offset being uncomfortable. It'll offset it as long as it's in small increments. But if you turn that thing on boiling, it'll jump out or react. And so you don't get a reaction. The slow boil is the way to get, to cook your dinner.
I was amazed how they managed to use the saying of, what is it? Boiling a frog, right? Because that's where it comes from. You boil it super fast, the frog jumps out. You boil it slowly, the frog never jumps out and dies.
Right.
They managed to convey that without referencing a frog.
Yes, they did.
Right. So yeah, that whole that scene was so great because it was just like, this is not going to be clean. Like,
and even though they was having this conversation, they were miming a whole other conversation. So when back turned, face frowns up, truth comes out. When facing the driver that's suspected to be,
spying on her,
a spying on her, there's smiles. The words are still, talking to their conversation. That's kind of a private conversation, but the gestures are lively, and there's this presence. But I just love how speak, truth, turn around. Speak, truth, turn around. Speak. And it was just like, wow. Who? They didn't have to do that. That was for us. It was for the driver, but it was for us too.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I love the tension that Mon Mothma is basically under all the time.
Yes.
Like, I've been trying to like tease out like sort of what genre she's in, right? Because and I think it mutates between which character we're following at what time, right? Like for the heist, it's a heist genre, right?
Right.
But for Mon Mothma, it's I keep wanting to say like a suspense thriller. It might just be a suspense, not a suspense thriller, because usually with a thriller there's action and explosions, and we do have that, but not within Mon Mothma's. It's just suspense. It's like, when am I going to be caught?
Right.
I really appreciate that her whole struggle, and it's going to be interesting to see. I think her dealing with the people are going to suffer, because I think she somewhat naively wants to think that there is a solution to this that is political,
right?
That is not going to lead to massive bloodshed, and it's like, sorry, it's probably not going to be the case. And to Luthen's point, I think within that scene, they're like, she makes the point about, people are going to suffer. And the next item he shows her is like that spiked war club to hammer home the point. Like, look, this is where we're going. This is where we're going. Sorry. Like,
and she was like, I think I won't have anything. I think I won't take anything.
Yeah, she's like, I don't want that. And he's like, that's all I got.
Right. I think I love how they show how, even though she's not on the ground level of this, she's very far removed from it. Even though she's really a big part of it, it shows her side of it. It shows her, what she's going through, how she's dealing with it, the tension that she has, and because usually with stuff like that, you only see the person who's clipping the wires, right? You don't see the stress and the situation of the person on the phone saying, hey, the red wire first, then black, then yellow, then green.
Right.
Like, they're so far removed, they're concerned, but they're not the one sweating with the little clippers trying to clip the wires.
Yeah.
And so it's neat to see her on the other side of the phone sweating as well, because she has stakes in it as well. Even though she's not the one in the blast fire, she's still, she still has stakes in it. And I think it's just very interesting, not only with that, but also with her family and how she's moving within her family. You don't know what her family is to her. Like, we learn a little bit more as far as like, situation with her husband, but even with her daughter, this is just so well written and thought out. And even if all this stuff doesn't necessarily tie together all the way, or if it doesn't necessarily lead to anything, because it still adds to her. It still adds to her frustration and situation, regardless if it gets stretched out any further than it already is. So I'm interested to see what they're going to do with it. But regardless if we know why the daughter's acting that way, regardless if we know why the husband's acting that way, we see what that means to her in the moment. And so I love that we get to at least understand where all this is coming from versus just her being nervous and we don't know exactly what's it, like everything. She can't trust her daughter. She can't trust the driver. She can't trust her coworker. She can't trust her husband. And she always have to be on. She can't even be herself at home.
Yeah. She has no safe harbor. She can't
land nowhere. And for that to always be on her. And then the person that she's, pulling this off with is almost kind of poking at her. Like he's enjoying the crazy. He's ghost riding the whip and he's smiling and laughing. And she's kind of like, grab the steering wheel. Like, I don't want to die. And he's just like, hey, you got into the car. You know what it is. We're at a sideshow. You know what it is. And so it's just funny that, he's just so lofty about it and whatever. Like, hey, this is how we roll. And she just want to live.
I'd love to see, like, there's the version of the show don't show to the driver in the shop where Luthen's having to go back and forth between sort of his self and his projected self.
Yes.
Right? I'd love to see, just give them half an hour to just actually just be themselves and go at it. Like, versus the having to put on the face and here's the thing. And like, cause like, man, Luthen's got something burning him up inside.
Yes.
Like,
yes,
I feel like part of the contrast with Mon Mothma is she is motivated by genuine concern for people and lofty ideals.
Yes.
Like, she's like, the Empire is bad. It is fucking hurting people and it needs to be dismantled. And Luthen's like, fuck those people. Mm-hmm. Those people deserve what's coming for them. Mm-hmm. Like, so they're coming at it from very different directions. The other interesting thing, and I think it's the scene right after their chat, is you're following, what is it, Clea? It's Luthen's assistant.
Okay, yeah.
Right? And it's this point you realize, she's running the spy network.
And you know what? When I saw her walking down the hall, I almost, to be honest, I didn't know who she was, and she looked familiar, but I couldn't place her because even that one of the girls, because even one of the girls looked like Deidre, and I was thinking it's not Deidre, and so I was trying to figure out where is she coming from, but I knew it didn't make sense for them to introduce two new people that had this kind of conversation. I didn't know who it was, so thank you for telling me, because like I said, I watched the thing, but for some reason
it didn't click.
It didn't click. She didn't look different enough. Like I said, I didn't put it together, so that makes sense then.
Yeah, it even took me a second to recognize Val because she was all cleaned up and dressed up, and I was like, that's okay, that's the leader from the heist. Okay, so she got out. She's getting orders of like, Andor's a loose end. This is Luthen's assistant Clea. They're like, he's a loose end. Kill him.
And like you said, she was cleaned up. Like, I didn't recognize that was her either. Like I said, they looked like them, but they were out of context. So I'm thinking like, am I seeing this wrong? Because she would still be out in the field. So like I said, okay. So that was her. So that was Lee. Okay.
Yes.
That's
funny.
And
the fact that like Clea is like the cold-blooded, we have to do what we have to do to survive. He is a loose end. He needs to be removed. Like, he didn't jump on board. And I think even she would be like, he decided to join. Okay, so he's probationary. Like, we don't trust him yet. Give him a year. Let him do 12 things for us. Then maybe we'll trust him a little bit. And then it's like, he's out? All right, fucking kill him. I don't care what Luthen said. Like,
so you think Luthen don't know about this?
No.
Okay.
Because Luthen's like, I think for whatever reason, he sees something in Andor which hasn't been articulated yet, but he seems to think like, nah, Andor is going to be a player. And she's just like, whatever, he said fucking no, he's a loose end, we need to fucking kill him. And it's like, wow, good for you. Like, as much as like, damn, that's fucking cold-blooded as shit. It was
Right.
like, if you were like, had a giant network of people for an underground rebellion, at some point you're gonna be like, am I gonna risk the whole fucking network for that one person?
But don't you think that he earned something when he left her the ship and the money and her
Well,
and her life?
well, Val doesn't seem super on board with it. Because again, Val is not like, okay, yeah, I'll totally go kill him. There's like Val's like, oh, okay, I guess we'll go kill him. Like, I think if she does find him, she's gonna hesitate.
Yeah.
She's gonna hesitate. But
And I think rightfully so, because
yeah,
he didn't really earn the treatment. But
no, he was more honorable, and I don't think that was relayed to Clea. I think she's just like, I'm not getting strong signals, cut him out. Right?
Yeah.
So I love that. It's also interesting to just see, get to see so much more of Coruscant and all the corridors that they're going through, and they're doing the signs on the sidewalk and chalk and all that sort of spycraft stuff that I love. The other fun thing, so going back to, I think it was the episode 3, when they're like in the car shop, right, and they sneak up behind Cyril, and they do the classic thing, the horror movie framing, where Cyril's looking off cameras, the open space. But if you look at that scene with Val and Clea, they're doing the same sort of framing. Clea is framed way off on the left, looking off. Right. And Val is like almost center frame, but again, looking off to the side. And it's just, it makes for an uncomfortable viewing, which goes along with what they're doing, which Val is like, oh, it's not cool with this. And we're like, oh shit, she's gonna go send her to go kill Cassian.
Right.
So again, cinematography is just on point. The amazing thing with the show is, like, with other shows you can like nitpick like production stuff, the cinematography. Like, I was listening to one of your tangents with Drew talking about Medea,
Tyler Perry
and his production, his production stuff. Like, and I saw a thing, I swear, like yesterday, where he's like, no, I intentionally like have cheap productions so I can keep my costs down because I'm a black producer and all this sort of stuff. I'm like, so, but like this show, like, they're not skimping creatively in the cinematography. Their set design is amazing. Their casting's really good. Like, everything is just working. So we just get to talk about the story, which also is like hitting it out of the park. So, god damn. I've got Lieutenant Deidre up on my screen right now. Man, she's so good. She's so good.
I'd like.
So
go ahead.
The funny thing is, like, I finally watched. I came out like, I don't know, 5 years ago now. The Kid Who Would Be King. Like, it's a kiddie, like, King Arthur modern movie, right? And I'm watching it, and I like had seen snippets of it. I'm like, I'm gonna watch this. She's the mom. She's the mom for the lead kid in this story. So I'm like, wait a minute, why is Lieutenant Deidre? And she's like, the concerned mom, and she does fine. This is just like, whoa, okay. Like, is a huge contrast with just this steel-backed, like, ice cold intelligence officer.
Yes.
And she's on the wrong side, but I'm rooting for her because the other thing that makes her, I think, relatable in a way is, like, she's dealing with other people that are ambitious but are not necessarily virtuous, which sounds weird for someone who's part of a horrible, like, oppressive regime. But she's like, no, we need to actually do our job, not just good enough.
Right. Like, it's almost a thing of personal morals than it is about what the machine is doing. It's kind of like, I just want to do my best job. Now your best job could be could be a chainsaw. Right.
We're gonna oppress these people to the 10th.
Right. But it almost, like I said, this is beautifully written to the point where you don't see the bad guy as a bad guy. You see it as a person trying to do a good job, even though that good job is going to cost the person that you're quote unquote rooting for. And so it's this whole thing we talked about before too, about just everybody being competent, and the ones that are not, it's logical as like in real life, you're going to have some people that's incompetent, and you're going to have the people who's really trying to hold the whole thing up by doing the right thing. And so the way it's broken down is really nice to see in a story versus this is how it would look in real life versus, everybody missing. Everybody doesn't know what's going on. Everybody's incompetent. Like I said, this is almost too good to be Star Wars.
So I saw an article.
This should have been this is those other movies we got. This is where it should have went.
Yes.
This is what it should. And the thing about it is, I don't know if everybody would be able to digest it. So I understand that. But for those, if you're making this for the crowd who grew up on it and now they're adults, this would be perfect for it. Now, was this for like the little kids who want to see the lightsabers and all the stuff, all the action stuff? No, it's not.
No.
But man, if they would have rolled this on the side of the other stuff that they were doing, just to be like, okay, one for them, one for us, I wouldn't be mad.
So the funny thing is, so my buddy Esteban, we grew up on Star Wars, played a lot of Star Wars games, but he was so fucking pissed off and disappointed with the sequels, right? Because they're bad. They're bad. Right? And really hasn't tried to ingest any of the new stuff, right? With the Mandalorian and the rest of it. I think he maybe saw some of the Mandalorian, but he's just like, I'm done. And so yesterday, we have a Discord with some other people, and somehow he got on a rant about like, oh, fucking Andor show. It's just gonna be Rogue One, which is like, his issue with sort of Rogue One is just like, oh, they're just gonna have another like Vader scene show up, and like all the fanboys are gonna lose their shit. And I had to like, okay, I'm gonna hold back here, and I'm just gonna gently go like, well, actually, as someone who's been watching it, it has these qualities and these qualities, and it doesn't have that thing you're worried about, and this and this and this and this and this. He's like, maybe. And then like an hour later, he pings me in the Discord with a fucking picture of Cyril, and he's just like, this is every one of Ryan's tabletop RPG characters he's ever made. And I was like, one, that is slander, and two, you're kind of right. So, well, I'm gonna check up on him and see how far he gets in it. Like, because if anyone watches like the first 3 episodes, it's like, okay, this is clearly different from a lot of the other stuff, even the other good things like the Mandalorian and okay, Obi-Wan was okay, right? But like, this is the one where it's like, oh, you wanted something that grew up with you,
this is it. So I want to speak on Cyril as I want to touch on that, because the show started off with him and his mom, and he's kind of defeated back at home with his mom. His mom is kind of like, she's kind of criticizing him about his uniform, because he's got his uniform once again modified, adjusting things. And I like that conversation they had about what do you think that says? In his head, he's seeing one thing, but to the outside world, they might see it as something else. So I even like that was even a conversation that was said out loud for us to witness.
Right.
So I enjoyed that. I it's a lot of character building. He's getting a hookup from his uncle. So they can give him a good government job, something out of the way where he can't hurt too much. He can't be hurt, can't hurt nothing.
Well, so I've seen the next episode, so
I know. So something that's kind of like out of the way, and you could tell he does not want this job. And this episode had a lot of confirmation for the other side, Deidre and also him. So he sees something on TV about that whole thing going down, right? The whole, the bank heist, the simple bank heist. And he's putting 2 and 2 together and like, wait a minute, I was in on this part. I kind of know the players. I know something else is going on. I was right. And he's not going to let that go. He lost too much and he's going to get it back. And if it was even just to say, hey, I was right, you were wrong, he's going to make sure that's being said and to the right people. And so, and Deidre had the same moment where, you know, she was realizing the pieces coming together and she thinks it's, and it was so interesting to see how the Empire was just, we're going to tighten our grip, and they're responding with ego, right? To the point where they don't see that this is the beginning of something and not the end of it. They just took it as a slight. They stole my money. These are just thieves and nothing else is going on. And how dare they? What we'll do, we'll drive up the taxes and we'll put our thumbs on everybody. And if somebody, you know, whatever
steps out of line,
we'll give them 6 years, whatever. You know, so it's all this stuff, but it's moved from ego and not being humble enough. But then I guess something so big, how would a giant ever see an ant or ever even contemplate that an ant could be coming to get them? They don't see they're not looking in that direction in that way with that view to see possible dangers, even when it could be right up on them.
Oh yeah. Well, and the interesting thing too is there's layers to what they're doing as well, because one of the things that we see towards the end of the episode is Andor, you know, this is we're skipping a beat here where he goes back to Ferrix and like, hey, I'm out, and all that stuff. We'll get into that, but he basically goes to Space Florida. And
no, Cancun. I wrote down Cancun. I've seen those beaches before. That looks very much like Cancun. But anyway.
So he's in Space Florida, and on the surface, it's like, it's pretty quick. It's like, oh, is he actually having a good time? Because like he's found someone to hook up with. He's like hiding his money in the hotel room. Yep. But they're like, hey, we need to go get he doesn't look happy at all. At all. So I don't think he's happy with where he's ended up, because, you know, he left everyone that he cared about behind.
Right.
But he's just in vague proximity to some schmucks running away from, you know, security forces, and he just gets like pulled in. And they're like, you're looking too nervous. Why are you looking around? And like, I'm just going to the pharmacy. And they're like, no, you can stay right here. And just like, he's like, I didn't do anything. And he's like, nope, you're under arrest. And it's like, what the fuck is going on? Gets arrested, gets a 6-year sentence, and he's like, I'm just a tourist.
Yeah, walking on the beach while brown.
Yeah, there you go. Not from the tan. And the thing is like, as much as the Empire is overreaching and overreacting, and it can be read that way of like, oh, they did this thing, and basically we're gonna spread the shit around, right? It's since it's an empire with a very strong military, they're just going to treat their citizens like they're in the military, right? So if someone in a squad fucks up, you punish the whole squad. Yep. Right? And that's what they're doing. Which sucks, and it's a horrible way to actually do discipline. But
it is.
But he gets pulled in, and as we're going to find out, he's sent to prison. Like, they're just expanding all the prison sentences because they want a prison labor force to do stuff. So it's not just the surface level of, hey, everyone stay in line. It's also like, we're going to take this opportunity to just arrest random people and have free prison labor.
Right. And this was kind of mentioned when they were, you know, tightening their fists when they were talking about these crazy sentences and stuff they were going to do and taxing and stuff like that. And so it's so interesting to see both sides of it. And like I said, even the thought process of it. This is giving so much that's usually just, we have to assume a lot and guess a lot. We're seeing the thought process. You know, this is acting like a corporation would or the government would. These reactions are legitimate. Right. And you're seeing who they hit and how they hit. Right. And how you could have 2, 3, maybe even 10 different versions of the same justice, the same fairness, the same equality, allegedly, on, you know, and people are getting hit off on different levels in the same room with different experiences with the same rules. Ooh, it's heavy.
Because, and this is a good critique for any policing service is if enforcement is arbitrary, then your justice is undermined. Because if the enforcer can decide, I'm going to enforce this rule on this person but not that person, you don't have justice, right? And at least from the way the Empire is being presented, it's like, we need fucking bodies in jail cells, so right? I have a quota. And to your point, like the fact that they're gonna tighten their grip, and Deidre's like, "What are you doing? Like, why? This is the wrong move. Like, this is going to play into their hands. It makes the Empire look worse." And the thing is, there's, I think, in her head, and I think even in Cyril's head, there's their version of the Empire and why it's the better option right now. Right? Cyril might think it's perfect. I think Deidre is aware that it has flaws, right? Like anything will have flaws. But she's like, this is going to make the Empire a worse version, and it's going to play into their hands. This is the wrong move to do. But I did love after she had her scene where she made her case of like, she's like, I got receipts.
I loved
it.
I loved it. Because that dude just knew he had her because she didn't go by protocol.
Protocol.
And all this kind of stuff. And the way she broke it down and the way the guy was just kind of like, I agree.
Okay, point made. So, and here's one of the impressive things about this. So the new guy that they brought in, I can't remember his name. Wolfful or something like that. He was a character that was created in the Clone Wars and was in Star Wars Rebels. He was in both of those animated shows.
He was?
So he's like an OG character timeline wise. Like he knows Anakin Skywalker, like he was around, that sort of stuff.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where it's like they do not call out any of their Easter eggs. Right? All we need to know from the show is that he is above her superior. Right. He is someone that is important, but we don't need to call out the Easter egg. Right? And that scene works whether you know that, oh yeah, he's got this long history and da-da-da-da-da-da. Doesn't fucking matter. You know the politics and power dynamics there.
And for sure it was a swap in power in that moment.
She got awarded his sector.
Exactly. Since it was too much for him.
Right. We'll take this out of your hands. Out of your portfolio.
Give it to Deidre. And what I thought was so cool was when they walked out together.
Her boss was like,
watch your back.
It's like just because you won here doesn't mean the war is over.
Oh,
like,
it's just beginning.
You just made an enemy.
Yes.
Like he was a rival before, but he wasn't a nemesis. And now he's gonna try and fuck your shit up. And it's just like, welcome to office politics.
That's right. Oh man, like, yeah.
There's no fat.
No. Okay. So for the most part, we done hit all the major points on episode 7, because basically it kind of ends with Andor being, kind of corralled into this crazy sentence for a crime he didn't commit. It's almost kind of like the I guess maybe the killer the bank robber who gets arrested on his off day when he wasn't robbing a bank.
Right.
He's a bank robber, but not this day.
He got arrested for something he didn't do.
Right. He's a bank robber, but not today. Not today. He got arrested for it.
And arrested for mail fraud.
Right. So it's just very interesting how that went, but it pretty much ended on that, which I thought was very, kind of funny, but kind of fits, because this show. And also to speak to what you were saying before about him, you saying like he's trying to, be happy or find a normal. I think it's interesting that even in Paradise he was not comfortable, because he's he's playing a character that he's not. He played the character that everybody thinks he is. Like he's uncaring, unattached, and don't care. And so when we see him in that role, he is not happy. He is not content. He's more content by maybe getting pulled in things not the way he would have wanted to be in them, but when he has his freedom to move within a certain kind of thing, being the, agitator in a way, the way he wants to do it, he's fine. He likes getting away. He likes to chase. He likes to I'm gonna get out of this situation. He doesn't mind that. So when he quote unquote won, I don't think it ever sat with him anyway. And the scene I want to talk about too, and we could kind of end with this, but this is before, for the ending when he got, wrongly accused. But when he went, and I can't think of the woman's name, that's kind of like his mother. When he went to go back to
Mara.
get Mara, when he went to go see her to kind of take her with him, let's get away. I got the money and we could go. And she said the thing about how you don't understand why. I understand why you have to go, and you won't understand why I can't. And I thought that was beautiful. And I thought it was beautiful too that he inspired her, and she didn't know it was him that inspired him. And he didn't tell her he was the one and part of that. And so it was interesting to see himself being spoke to in the third person without interjecting and telling the truth in that, like, I wonder what that would have been for him to say, like, hey, I was a part of the rebels. I was a part of that thing. He's trying to talk her out of the greatness that he did. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
Oh, it was just a bank robbery. No, it's not just a bank robbery. This meant that. Like, she read it. Like the people who something is meant for, they can read it like a book. Even when it's like every other word missing, they can read between the lines and understand what's being said without the hand holding. Somebody who don't want to be bothered or don't have it in them, they was just like the Empire. They saw as something that wasn't because of ego, because of disconnect and everything else. But those who is connected, they will find the truth in a grain of rice if it's there. They'll find it. They'll find it. And so I thought it was beautiful that she felt like she had purpose in her life to the point where she is not going to join the one thing that she loved. And when she told him that, I thought that was beautiful. That's her son, and her, as far as she's concerned, that's her son. And he feels the same way about her, because when he's coming back to pay everybody else off and everything, he was coming to get her. So I thought that was beautiful, and it says so much. So I thought it was interesting that they didn't have him to tell her what his part was in that, and let her kind of have that without him saying, hey, I gave that to you. I thought it was very powerful. It's almost
my guess is the reason why he didn't tell her, because he saw what her version of it meant to her. And if he just told her, like, oh no, I was part of this bank heist, and also I walked away.
Yeah.
I walked away from this rebellion thing you care about.
True.
Right?
True. Because he was part of something bigger than he wanted to really be a part of.
Yes, and he was walking away from it.
Even though he made it better.
He made it a lot better.
By one, for helping succeed and getting that money, but also getting rid of the loose end that would have turned on them and made it worse for them. Because really, if he didn't take out dude, he would have took the
whole thing would have fucked up. Yeah. People would have still seen the heist.
Yeah.
The rebellion wouldn't have gotten the money.
Right, to continue on what they were doing. Yeah, man, I enjoyed that part. It was very touching, and it was a beautiful moment. And
it was interesting too, because like when he's sort of going through the town, and he's flashing back to the main square, where it turns out that Mara's partner / I'm guessing husband, his stepfather, got caught up. There were stormtroopers going through the crowd, and there was some Utes that were throwing rocks, and he stepped out to like, dude, fucking stop. Like, they're gonna, and they turn around, and the stormtroopers
Fired.
It's implied that they shoot him and then they hang him, it sounds like. There's like this little montage piece where it's like there's bodies hung in the square and it's raining and it looked like Andor came to try and cut him down or something. Like it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. There's more to Andor's feelings about the Empire as just like vague, disconnected jerks.
Yeah.
Is like, no, they killed my stepdad.
Yeah, that's true. Huh.
He's walking away from a lot.
He really is. What did you think of the fact that when she told him to stop looking for his sister, she was just like, you know, pretty much like it's a fool's errand kind of thing, like, you know, don't keep searching for her. You know, it's like it's a fantasy.
I think that's genuine on her part. I don't think she's like, I secretly know things about his sister, but I'm not gonna tell him. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like they've got nothing left to hide from each other at this point. Certainly on her part. Like, she's just admitted that she's like, I'm part of the rebellion. Like,
Yeah.
like she hid that from him before. She was clearly involved with the rebellion before. Like, and now she's just like, yeah, the rebellion. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So I feel like she's genuinely trying to take an emotional need off his plate, right?
Yeah.
Because it definitely, from what I recall, the flavoring was like, this is not your fault. Like,
Yes, exactly.
it's not on you. Like, we're both kids, da 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 da. Like, you're not gonna find her, and it's as much to save him from the pain of trying again over and over and over and over and over again and never finding her.
Yeah, and I also kind of took it as the fact that she has in her head that she's never going to see him again, and she won't be that buffer to kind of, even though she would probably never say give up, she would always be there to kind of offset the situation, to keep him busy or to change the subject or kind of be there to kind of, you know, like I said, pretty much offset his feelings in his situation. And if she's not going to be there anymore, let me just tell you, just don't do it. And like you said, it's not your fault, because it's kind of like my goodbye. This is the last knowledge last thing I'm going to share with you. I'm not going to always be here to tell you to do this and that. So I'm telling you now, it's not your fault. Don't keep chasing. Don't keep, because, I won't be here for you to fall back on. I won't be here to console you. I won't be here. So it was very touching. That whole thing was beautiful. Was beautiful. I guess one more last thing. I think it's cool seeing the inner workings of the Empire, seeing how massive it is. The same thing with the city and things like that. Like when I saw Star Wars as a child, I never saw it like this. This is like some Blade Runner futuristic. It's massive. It's like when they say like a cog in the piece. Will you like? It's
they
such
actually
world. It's a world building. It's so
they changed the architecture on Coruscant. So a lot of people have been commenting like, dude, I watched the prequels and like it's all shiny and glittery and soft, right?
Yeah.
And it's like you look at Coruscant now and it's like, did the brutalist architecture firm take over, right? Like, because that's communist architecture for the most part, brutalism, where it's just like, no, we're not going to put human features on buildings. Like, it's all just going to be rough shapes. There's your building, right? And we have some of those even in the United States, but like, it was a thing out of quote unquote authoritarian regimes, out of the Soviet Union. So it's like they brought that flavor into how Coruscant feels.
Yes.
Right? And it's like, oh, that's a switch in the setting as a character that is, projecting sort of the vibe, right? I mean, even if you think about it realistically, so Cyril gets like the job at the Bureau of Measures and Standards, I think.
Bureau of Standards.
So the layout is grand and impressive, right? It's like a central
like an egg carton. A big old
like
egg carton. You just sit
the
in
lower floor has like just sort of cubicle, sort of this
Mhm.
brutalist cubicle layout, one
Right.
after another. And then there's like the tier above that that's open off to the sides, just progressive tiers going out almost like a stadium. And
Hmm.
it's like, that's impressive and overwhelming, which is the impression you want on the person there. It's very cold and impersonal, but it's also like, that's a waste of space.
Hmm.
Like, it looks really cool. But now we can, why don't you not have the floors open like that, and then you can have more floor space and put in more cubicles and more cubicles.
Grandeur and
Yeah.
presence and presentation is more important than truth.
Yes. That was an interesting thing because, like, he was talking about, like, he has this black mark on his record
Hmm.
because the incident didn't go well.
Right.
And I'm not sure how to interpret what his new manager was like. Well, why don't we get started and we can start undoing that? And I was just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I don't know if undoing is the right word, but like expunging that or whatever. And it's like, wait, do you mean you're gonna cover it up, or
Think
just
he,
like you're gonna like
I
work
think
past your black mark and
right.
like,
That's how I
yeah,
took it because it almost seemed like he gave him a worse job as he kept talking to him. Like you start cleaning up. You can clean up this fuel. So I took it as him being a smart butt talking about, oh, you want to work, you want to clean something. Let's start over here because it looked like he went to another section that was like, matter of fact, it's almost like you're gonna be a troublemaker. Let me put you over in the far corner
yeah.
over here where you could clean fuel.
Have fun doing Excel spreadsheets.
Exactly. Exactly. That's how I kind of took it. But yeah, because it's interesting to see, refreshing to see.
Yeah, even the stuff with Mon Mothma, like with her banking friend,
Yeah, I thought that was
right?
kind of
Because
cool
her whole
too.
thing is like she's been trying to unlock her family's wealth
Mm-hmm.
from Chandrilla. And just like, oh, they changed the things. Like, oh, I've got this old friend from
Mm-hmm.
high school, basically, it sounds like.
Yeah, they grew up together as
And
kids.
she's trying without telling him what for.
Right. I
That whole
love that
that's
conversation. Yeah.
is so good because she's just testing the water, testing the water, testing
Mm-hmm.
the water, testing the water. Because if she tells the wrong person
Mm-hmm.
the wrong thing,
Mm-hmm.
she's dead.
Right. And I like how the conversation went to even where he was like, because she was talking about like she wanted to work with him and ask a favor, and he was like, well, you might not like my politics, and I kind of
Right.
like how that even went
And,
down too.
and it
Like,
and it was like, well, judging from your friends,
right,
right? Because
exactly.
she's
Like this
hanging
isn't
out with all
us.
the other
Right,
senators, and it's
right,
like,
right,
you may not like my politics.
right,
And that was like the opening to where she's like, oh,
right.
thank God,
And I love they
this
did
guy
that.
doesn't agree with
Hmm.
a whole bunch of shit going on. So
Right, right,
let's just need money for what?
right, right. And that's when we
Best
got
if you don't know.
right.
Oh,
And I love the breakdown where talking about her driver and she can't even trust her husband and he's walking up. I'm like, wow. So I just like, man, she is alone. She is totally alone. And I also thought it was interesting that Lutheran knew about her trying to do this money thing with her friend. He
uh-huh.
mentioned that. So that means his ears are to the ground. So yeah, the streets are listening.
Yeah,
Very interesting.
it's fascinating too. Aside from sort of like all this great, like this is a character show,
Yes,
right?
it is.
Is a character-driven show, but like looking at this episode in the space of the series now,
Mm-hmm.
like going from the first arc and then the second arc, like you really can see the justification for just like, we got to take a moment to pause and reset the status quo, right? Because
Right.
that's what's happening for everyone in this episode. The status quo is being reset for everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Val's given new orders to go kill Andor. Andor's like, I got my money, peace, I'm out. Also, I'm not happy. Also, I'm under arrest,
Right.
right? Deidre's up and recognized and given power and also warned to watch her back. Like all the characters are in new positions now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mon Mothma's freaked out, but also like finally she's got some motion going, maybe with her banking friend. Like
Right.
it's really great, and it takes us, as I have seen at least the next episode, even though the ninth one is also out, I haven't seen it yet. Like it's like, oh, now we're ready to rock and roll with the next arc, and it's just like with everything else, there's not a wasted moment.
I'm looking to binge the next 3. I'm trying to be good. On purpose, I didn't. Yeah, this on episode 9. I was going to lean into it, but I know that I would lose my focus on 7. Not because 7 isn't important, but it rides together all nicely, and that's why we start grouping them together in the first place. Because, well, I could imagine that this whole 12 episode series could be re-edited into a 2.5 hour movie, and it would still be strong as hell. I believe that. Now, would it be as full as this? No, but I'm just not saying that the stuff they would cut out would be not important. I'm just saying, like, you could have this experience 2 ways, and it would have been fine regardless.
You could take the major plot points
and it'll still be
squeeze
strong.
it into 2.5. Yeah,
that's how it would normally go.
And it might even feel rushed because there's still a lot of plot points.
I could not imagine if this was done a different kind of way. What a loss we would have had.
Right?
An experience that we would have had with knowing these characters and learning these characters to be cut into like a 2.5 hour, 3 hour movie. That would be, and that's how we normally deal with this content. This is normally how we deal with it. And even when they do long formatted content like shows like this, it's not this dense.
No.
It's not. Usually it's some weird filler episodes with a whole bunch of stuff you don't know nothing about. It has nothing to do with nothing, and people running in circles, messing themselves up and out of character just to fit the plot point and stuff like that. Right. Everybody's been true to themselves from the jump. How could we be in episode 7 and everybody's acting like how they act? Interweaving all these characters.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even one-sided. You get the Empire side and you get the Rebellion side. You get the people on the grunt work on the ground, and you get the people on top playing with the money,
right,
and doing logistics. You know, we see the
fact at this point,
it's crazy.
Andor still has not joined the rebellion. Bravo, like, of not just like, oh, yep, bad thing happened to him, he's gonna join the rebellion. It's like, no, not everybody's there.
Yeah, he goes in his own time, but he still has purpose. Mm-hmm. And it's like that whole thing with the reluctant hero. You can still be a hero. You just don't want you just don't want the title. That's all.
Talk about rejecting the call. I mean, like on the hero's journey, it's like call to action, then you have to reject it first. Like this is literally what happens to Luke. It's like, hey, you're touched by destiny. Your father was a great Jedi. You should come join me, help out, and do things. He's like, yeah, no, I'm gonna go home. Right. Boom, your farm's blown up. All right, now you down? Like, okay.
The thing about destiny, you end up where you're supposed to be anyway.
Right.
So you can't avoid it. So regardless, you take the long way around or go straight through, you're going to end up where you need to be. And like I said, for us to know his end and how it ends and all the rest of that stuff, it's amazing that this is just flailing all over the place with all these crazy Hail Marys and stuff. It still counts. It's still not wasted opportunity. It's still not... I've seen characters that we love that are still around treated worse.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So for a character that we know is going to be gone, and we know we've seen his end already, and so for this to be done like this, it's amazing. Like I said,
so as my buddy Esteban was, ragging on Star Wars the other day, you mean to tell me it's not a show where I'm going to find out where Chewbacca got his favorite hydro spanner from? I was like, no, it's not really like that. Like, oh, they're doing this. So they're not gonna tell me where Mon Mothma got like one of her sashes or some shit. I'm like, no, dude, I think they're actually doing a pretty good job with Mon Mothma. Like,
he has to trust you. He knows that you're not blowing.
Well, he started watching it, so
okay.
We'll see how it goes. And I think the other thing that I came across was they were doing an interview with the director, who did the first couple episodes. I'm not sure if that's like the first 2 arcs or first arc or whatever, but he was saying he was worried because he is a Star Wars fanboy, right?
I believe it.
And like his concern, and also the concern of the showrunner, was that like you're just gonna go ham with like Easter egg, ooh, we're gonna do this, ooh, we're gonna do that, right? And like the showrunner was like, and the showrunner is the original writer for Rogue One, was like, yo, don't. Like, you need to treat this like a character-driven story that just happens to be in Star Wars. And if you focus on telling that narrative first, cool. And it really shows. It really shows, because their fucking Easter eggs are not highlighted at all. They're so subtle. There's like none of that. There's no like stunt casting with like all this sort of stuff.
But I think sometimes the Easter eggs could be a thing. Okay, when that first concept thing even started, I think that it was earnest in the beginning. Then it became a tool used by people who wasn't familiar with the lore, and it was street cred on the cheap.
Right, easy dopamine hit.
Let me see what comic book cover everybody liked, and we'll make sure that character poses like that in this shot.
And then we'll put it in the trailer, but not in the movie.
We know that these characters are connected to them, so when they're checking on the computer, let's throw in that name. So they know enough to throw these names in that are obscure and only people who really know the stuff would know, but they can't write the characters correctly that is coming across this information. So that's the telltale. That's how you know when it's being used to get points when they didn't earn them. Right. And so I think when you actually know what's going on, you can move in levels. Now, the geek in you will want you to be like, show all your hands. But truly, you know, if you're connected, you could do it with a head nod. Right. And who it's for will understand what you're doing.
Right. And I think, too, with, like, especially, you know, going back with characters and stuff, like, there's a, what thing can we randomly expand on with this character in the past versus do we have a story with a core to it that would work with this character? If we don't, then let's not do anything. Like,
right.
But I'm sure that's not how executives work. They're like, hey, we have this IP, do that character. Okay. Well, and at least with Andor, it's working.
I was about to say, you see what they did with Book of Boba Fett.
Oh my god.
They didn't know what to do with that.
That whole thing is still so baffling, because like it's the same showrunners as The Mandalorian. Like, that's Jon Favreau. So I don't know.
We have to
not gonna retread that stuff. We got what, 7 episodes talking about
go back and watch the old episodes, y'all.
if Book of Boba Fett is what I had to get through to get towards Andor, worth it.
So worth it. Oh man. Okay. Well, we can end it on that.
I can't even do speculation for what's
no,
coming
you
next,
can't,
because I've only seen the next episode, and it's just like, wow. Okay, things are fucking happening. Like, dude, it's like I'm already like, okay, this is clearly another arc.
You know, how rude am I? I need to do our introduction.
I was like, do I catch him? Like, because you started to go in, and I was like, oh, all right, we're just talking now. Let's not interrupt the flow. We can always do the intro later.
And it was funny because when I got to talking, I was like, I ain't gonna mess it up with that. So sometimes when the flow is just good. And what's crazy is I really don't trip too much on how we're gonna start our conversations, because we normally, do our little catch-up thing, and it just kind of goes into the conversation just very quickly and easily anyway. And for that reason, I was just like, yeah, we'll get to it. So I'm Jay, and tonight I have with me the resident Jedi geek extraordinaire.
Oh man,
Ryan.
I swear, like in 2 years, that title's gonna have like 30 fucking descriptors on it.
Yeah, it will. You deserve it. Yeah, man. I cannot wait for these next. This is going, man. So we got what? 8, 9, and 10. And then we got 12 total, right? It's going to be 12?
12 episodes.
12. Okay.
That's going to be interesting to see how they space out.
Yeah.
like the last few, because
So that's gonna be like a 2-hour movie to
9,
end it.
yeah,
So-
8, 9, 10. Assuming it's a 3 arc, it might be a longer arc
Mhm.
because it might go through to 11, and then like 12 is a wrap up episode. I don't know.
Or just like a 2-hour movie at the end, just to wrap it up. But we'll see.
Considering what they're setting up, I could.
Okay.
just yeah. Yeah, man, I want them to go the whole show, as many seasons as they do, and have 0 Force users. Zero. Just keep it grounded.
You know what? Yes. I love how they're pulling this together.
On that thing about, like, not doing their, the director and the showrunner not, doing their Easter eggs and stuff. Even when it comes to, like, it's been a very human-centric show.
Yes.
They do have aliens, right?
In
But they're like,
Cancun.
but they're like backgrounded, right?
Yeah.
And occasionally one will be somewhat foregrounded a little bit, but they're never like, ooh, look at this cool alien. Right? They don't want to distract with that type of spectacle, right? So again, it's just one of those things where it's like they're really focusing on the story.
Yeah.
And like outside of the very few fights that they've had, and outside of the Eye, which, holy shit, was again also part of an action combat scene of like, that is spectacular spectacle. Like, it's like, let's tell a character story. So yeah, they're doubling down on that and sticking to it. So yeah. Next episode's electric though.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
Knock your socks off.
All right, I'll keep that in mind. I'm looking forward to it. I guess those are kind of final words, but you have any other final kind of words to end with?
Jeez, I love this show.
Hey, I'll take it. I love it too.
It's not quite the spy show I thought it was going to be, but like, I am not disappointed. Like, not at all.
I would not have guessed it to be this because I haven't seen anything quite like this, especially an IP that I'm aware of already doing this. Yeah. This far in, still this good, still this energy. I'm still engaged. I don't know how everybody's taking the show. I think some of the people are probably burned out from the other shows or a little gun shy because of the other shows.
And I think there's also some people that are like, wait, I wanted a popcorn show.
Or they're not looking for this kind of a show. So it's interesting to see, but I hope that it's appreciated. And like I said, I'm thinking that if it's not appreciated now, I think when people have a chance to actually sit and binge it or watch it at their own pace, the way the show moves, if you're not used to this kind of pacing, you will figure out something else to be watching.
Yeah. Some people are definitely spoiled on the we're going to release a whole season binge approach. And because, Disney and a lot of other streaming services are now we're going to release one a week so that people just don't get a month subscription and binge 20 shows and then leave.
Right.
Like, our attention span is a little bit different. But like, I will make fucking PSAs once this thing is fully out and be like, yo, have you been hurt by Star Wars?
Yeah.
Time to come back to the fold. Like, are you tired of like sort of kid-focused Star Wars? Are you looking for the adult version of Star Wars that's like complex and has gray morality and complex characters? This show's for you.
Good catching up with you, man. All right, so this has been Jay and
Goofball Ryan.
We're signing out. Till next time, peace.
Or Star Wars.
You're stupid. I
at least thought ahead on that one.
Right. I'm like, wait a minute. And okay, you're slick. All right. All right, good. Hey, we're going to stop this conversation here, but we're going to hit you back with another one soon.